Greetings to all, my name is Ike, and I suddenly have a great life because I'm the double of the president's grandson. True, along with the privileges, I had something else. If you think that I had money and fame, then you are right, but there was something else still. Do you want to know? Then let's look further. I was born and raised in another country. It's far from the United States, but then my family and I won a green card and moved to live in America. At first our life was difficult, but when we settled down a little bit, I began to get more often, and I noticed some changes. People kept looking at me, and at first I thought maybe it was something on my face, or my zipper was open, but no. Once I was approached by unfamiliar passers-by with the words, "It's him, the president's grandson." I looked like the grandson of one of the former presidents, like an exact copy, you might say. I was even asked for an autograph, and a photo was taken, and then I began to realise this is very cool. And from that moment on, whenever I went to a cafe or watched a movie or was just stupidly walking around with friends, I was approached by a group of fans who shook hands, said hello. Even girls were attracted to me. My new friends came up with a plan. Bud said that we could take good advantage of my appearance and do something about it. "Man, that's cool. Listen, we have a cool club in the city, but it's closed. I heard that all the local elite hang out there. If we change our clothes, we can easily get there. Are you sure this will work?" "Well, no, but what do we lose?" "All right then. Today at 7 p.m. Bud and I and the other guys agreed to hang out, dressed up in suits, and we met at the entrance. There was a security guard. I gave them the name of the president's grandson. He looked at me, and then at my friends. I very easily said, "They're with me," and the guards opened the doors for us. It was just awesome. We went into a parallel world, where everything was very pretentious, expensive, and beautiful, and the prices were also off the scale. "You can make us money, and we'll help." "But how?" "I've got an idea." After these words, we made our way to the stage. I couldn't believe that I'd agreed to this. Bud pulled me out, put the microphone in my hands, and picked up on the other. He said I had an event today, my best friend's birthday, and we wanted to have a good night. I couldn't believe it, but then he nodded to the DJ, we turned on the music, and we danced right in the middle of the stage. The girls were screaming, dollar bills fell at our feet. We made over $1,000 that night. And then the owner of the place came up to us. The tall man in a jacket was looking at me as if he had figured something out, and he said, "You two, follow me." We walked down the hall of his office. I knew that everything was going to come up. When we passed by a room, I grabbed Bud by the scruff of the neck and ran in that direction. The guards rushed after us. "Let's run." "Where to?" "There's the room. Faster." We ran into the room, barricaded the door. The guards knocked and then began to kick down the door. The only way was through the window. I looked out and saw a pool in the backyard. "We have to jump." "Are you kidding? Is it high up there? If we get caught, can you imagine what they might do?" "Oh shit." 1, 2, 3. I shouted it and jumped down. Bud jumped after me, and in another second the guards would have caught us. Miraculously, we landed gently. I hurt my leg a little. We got out of the pool and ran towards the exit. We were almost at the fence when another guard appeared in front of us. I realised that I wouldn't run far because of my leg. "Run, Bud, run!" Bud managed to escape, and I was grabbed by a big guy. I had no idea what was coming, but it was definitely not good. I was grabbed and then loaded into a car and taken somewhere. Then my consciousness was vague. I think I was drugged with something. When I woke up, the man who owned the place was sitting in front of me. I was tied to a chair, all wet. The guy looked at me, and he sat down across from me and started talking. "You run fast. You can't run away from me." "What do you want?" "Just a little. Tell me where your grandfather is and I'll let you go." "Why do you need my grandfather? He died a long time ago." Funny, but there's no time for jokes. Tell me if you don't want to go into the swimming pool again, but this time with my dogs. They're very hungry." "What? My father will arrive soon." "This alternative will also suit me. I have a long-standing score to settle with your family. I couldn't find you in months, but then my luck turned. By the way, your friend is here too." The guards took Bud out of the other room. He didn't run away. He was blindfolded, and he was very scared. "Let us go. I'm not the one you think I am." I shouted that I was only a double, that I had nothing, that I was poor and wanted to go home, but they didn't believe me. After a while I was picked up and led to the pool, where the dogs were standing nearby. I swore, even wept, that I was not the one that they needed, and then the guy said to me, "Prove it." And I told the whole story of our family moving country. A good legend, too bad it's a lie. He pushed Bud into the pool, and then they slowly began to lower the dog. Stop, I'll tell you everything." Bud was dragged out, and I looked frantically at the man. Then noticed the burning fireplace. I asked them to give me a phone number, like I would like to call my father and come here myself. I was given my mobile phone, told to speak on speakerphone. I told my dad and I asked him to come calmly as possible. Dad said he'd be here soon. My cell phone was taken away again, but I managed to press the emergency call button as I approached the fireplace. 2 of the guards heard the commotion and left, leaving only us. the guy and one guard who was holding Bud. I reacted immediately, grabbed a burning log from the fireplace and threw it in the face of the guard, who released Bud, and we managed to escape through the open door. There were guards everywhere. We heard the music and realised that we were in the clubhouse. They're already here! I looked back and saw the security. We merged with the crowd and crouched down, slowly ran towards the exit. But there were guards there too. Then we noticed the rest of our friends, asked them to distract the guards without any question, and whilst they were showing them something, pretending to be drunk, Bud and I ran out into the street. Let's run! We ran down the street as fast as we could, running like crazy, and at some point it seemed that we ran away. But then we saw headlights behind us. A jeep was coming at us. The street was narrow. We didn't know where to run, and there was a dead end. Bud tried to climb over the fence, but fell. The car was coming at us at high speed. I thought that was it. I thought it was the end. We closed our eyes and just waited. And when there were a couple of meters left, someone crashed into the jeep. It was my father. Dad! Dad didn't stop. He literally rammed the jeep with his car. And he drove up to us. We jumped in the car. Dad, is everything okay? Yes, we're going. We dashed away from there. The jeep never lagging behind, but a moment later we came to a dead end again. I'll distract them. You run. But Dad, I said run. We got out of the car, and so did the guy. He looked at us, and Bud and I ran down the narrow aisle, and Dad stayed there. Then I heard a gunshot. My heart skipped a beat. I thought that all because of my stupidity, my father had died. I wanted to run there, but Bud held me back. We can't go in there. My father may have died. What will you do? They'll kill you too. This is all because of you. If you hadn't pulled me there, nothing would have happened. How was I supposed to know? Then the police drove up to us, put us in the back of a car and took us to the police station. When I went in there, I let my tears flow. I began to realise I would never see my dad again, and it was because of me. Son, I heard a voice and was so happy. My father was alive. The police arrived and the shot was from the police. They defused the guards and arrested the man. It turned out that this was an old acquaintance, a former friend of the president who wanted to repay a large debt, and when he saw me, took me for his grandson. So, in summary, the story ended well, but after this incident, we were provided with free security, and we moved to a safer, closed area, and now I no longer went to the hotspots.
I am the son of a senator. How does that sound to you? Sure it does. This automatically assumes a green light in all directions. And you know what? Being the son of a senator is much cooler than being a senator yourself. Would you like to visit my place and feel what it's like? I will tell you an unforgettable story. My name is Dima. I was born and raised in a family of politicians and businessmen. In principle, it is the same. So my great-grandfather and grandfather were officials or deputies. They didn't exactly dream about it. It just happened that life decided for them. Here is how I, for example, grew up the son of a senator. Did anyone ask me that? You will think that I am the greedy child of a rich father, a people's thief, a corrupt official. I will not comment or justify anything to my parents. I will only say that there is a downside, but about everything in order. As a toddler, I didn't understand all the possibilities I had. I had food, toys, parents, a house, everything for school, but I considered it mundane. When I got a little older, I started having companies, a lot of companies. Everyone wanted to be friends with me. I was popular. I had the coolest car in school and an expensive phone. Then I got a taste of parties. At first, all this caused great excitement. Every night we would go together with friends and I would drive them around the city, or we would go to a club and hang out until the morning. I felt all-powerful. I always got away with any kind of jams. Broke a window at school, Dad paid. Broke someone else's car, Dad paid. Beat someone, Dad paid. I didn't need a woman's attention because that was enough. Girls don't need much. I gave them flowers, phones, clothes, just gave them money, and they were mine. It was so simple. Over time, easy accessibility became annoying. I wanted something more extreme, interesting. And one day, after leaving the club, I came up with a crazy idea. My friends and I had a bet that I could surprise them within an hour. So the first thing I saw on the street was an ambulance. It was parked at one of the entrances. My friends were looking at me, and I stole the car. It was just open. I turned on the signals and drove at full speed. Damn, it was something. I was laughing. On the way, I gave everyone the middle finger. I didn't care because I was invincible. Of course, the car was found later, but they figured me out. As always, the police came home. I opened the door, and they began to rub me something about a number of violations. I yawned back at them and asked sleepily, "How much?" Money decides everything. But then my father came up to me, and of course, all the employees knew him. They immediately told me what I had done. My father took a deep breath. I know that look. It meant that he was displeased with me. He'll probably threaten to block all my payment cards again, take my car, and so on. That's not all. He didn't just steal a car. The ambulance was on the road, and the doctors had to hospitalize a seriously ill child. When they reached the street, the car was gone. In general, that child got worse. The parents went to see your son, they said. Damn, I thought, but not that. Can't I get away with it this time? I thought. After the police had left, telling me to report to the police station and visit the family on my own, my father called me into his office. I sat down in a chair, and Dad took out the alcohol, poured it into a glass, and drank it in one gulp. When you were born, I couldn't believe my luck. I promised myself right away that I would give you everything you ever wanted, but especially a choice. The ability to choose your own path in life. Choose everything from the style of clothing, school, profession. I didn't have that. You know, your grandfather and his father were unwavering. They chose the future for their children. The road was predetermined, but I didn't want to be stewed in this mess. I wanted to be an architect. Even just secretly signed up for a course. Of course, my father found out about it and was furious, my father began to say. I wasn't sure what he was getting at, but then father said that he was forced to become a senator, that is, to follow in the family footsteps. And when I was born, he said he wouldn't force me to do anything I didn't want to do. Every time before I buy something for you, or choose an educational institution, I asked you, suggested options, and asked your opinion. Have you ever felt violated? What happened to you, son? Why did you do this? He asked. I didn't know what to say. Perhaps he gave me too much choice. I was just bored and didn't want anyone to get hurt. I went out of my father's study, drooping in myself, and locked myself in my room. I've never felt worse. I had nothing to say for myself. This time, he didn't go to the station to solve my problems. I understood everything, packed up and went myself. I was fined and told to work community service hours. Yes, I didn't hold a broom with a rod in my hands, but I didn't say anything. Then I went to the hospital to see the family. This was the most difficult test. I was trembling with excitement. Found the room and saw that there was a boy about 6 years old. Next to him, his mother. She was asleep, sitting on a chair. She woke up when I came in and didn't know who I was. I barely had the heart to tell her who I was. There was so much anger in her eyes. She turned to me and slapped me a few times. I was just silent and didn't move. She had every right to do so. In our room, the nurses immediately gathered and took me out. She barely managed to calm down. She called me almost a murderer and chased me away. It's a good thing no one there knew who my father was. I didn't want him to suffer for my thoughtlessness. Then I went up to the chief doctor and found out the boy's diagnosis. Turns out he needed an expensive operation. I didn't hesitate to ask how much. I needed a lot of money. After I got out of the hospital, I went straight to Max's. Max is an old friend of mine. He's been looking at my car for a long time. So I sold it on the spot, took the money and went back to the hospital, put the wad of money in an envelope on the doctor's desk, and told him to do the operation immediately. Then I asked not to tell my name to the boy's parents. When I got home, my friends called me. They've lost me since yesterday. I felt so bad that I wanted to share it with someone, and I told them everything. The only response I got was, "What are we going to do today?" That's when I realized that no, they are not friends. I hung up and went to bed. After this situation, I did not leave the house for some time, only worked public working hours. I didn't talk to anyone at home. Then I went back to the hospital where I found out that the operation was performed on the boy and it was successful. You can't imagine how happy I was to hear that. Did I ever manage not to screw up? Elated, I ran out of the hospital and ran to my dad's office. Emotionally, I told him the good news and hugged him. Then I apologized for everything. Dad was silent for a long time, but then he said that he was proud of me. It was then that I realized what I wanted to do in the future. After leaving school, I went to university, and after that, I opened a small charity fund to help sick children.